Hold on a minute, he said. It isn't only your fucking business, is it? So there was mutinies up over that, and Harry and Tommy was fighting. My mother was out there, shouting and hollering. Anyway, Harry was allowed to work for the business, but he wasn't allowed to be a partner. So two things happened that were instrumental, as far as I was concerned, of the demise of it all, really, when I think about it, because it was a long time coming. But I realised. Now, Tommy Ware was late one morning, coming into work, and I was there cutting some scrap up, and Harry was in a crane. Now, that was a rope crane, and with a magnet, and bought off Sam Leach. So Tommy come in, half narky. If he'd had a row with his girlfriend at the time, or whatever, he would come down narky. So he said to Harry, "Get out." I said, "I ain't getting out till I finish what I'm doing." Anyway, there was murders up there. Tommy tried to pull out, and anyway, he come back up to have a go about it. And as he walked past the magnet, which was up in the air, Harry let it go on free fall, and it missed him by about a foot, I'd say, which was stupid because he could have killed him. Anyway, Tommy went berserk, pulled Harry out the crane. They started fighting again. There was murders up. So that episode passed. So now, while they was down there doing this job down Ale, there was a sand company just down over the beach where the beach was, and they had a Smith tracked them there, which was a rubber duck really, which was be a lot faster than the rope crane for magnet work. So anyway, I was always driving the machines, the diggers, dumpers, cranes, and I'm pretty good, or I was pretty good. I am pretty good. Anyway, this particular day, Tommy was going to Plymouth. So they come down and fitted the magnet, and the magnet was on the machine. So all done, the mush is left. So the magnet was there, see? So the lorry come in, and no, the lorry come in loaded, that's right, the lorry come in loaded. And my grandfather said, because there wasn't no tippers, my grandfather said, "I'll load that lorry with a magnet if you can drive them." I said, "Of course I can." Anyway, I jumped in this fucking digger. I had an off in about 2 minutes. Anyway, just as I finished doing that one, in come Tommy. He said, "Get out." My grandfather said, "Leave him alone. He's doing a fucking good job, isn't he?" He said, "Get out." Anyway, there was a argy-bargy over that. I got out and he carried on fucking doing it, but he could never master me. I could load a lorry before he even fucking looked at it. So those were the animosities early on, and with the fact that they didn't really like me mother, and my mother didn't like Tommy Ware anyway, never did. And there was even talk of other members of the Ware family going back, offering me father money not to marry my mother. I can't verify that now, but there was talk of like that going on. So that slow bit of, if I don't want to call it hatred because I don't hate anybody, never hated anybody. But that bit of friction was there for a long time. So that job went on then ale for 2 or 3 years. And Walter was very good to me, man. He looked after me well. So one morning, my grandfather said, "Come on." I said, "Where are you going?" He said, "We're going down and pick this cable up." Anyway, we jumps in a Thames trailer. And he used to kid me. He used to make out to tell the lorry to go faster. And but he used to put his foot on the throttle, see, but I didn't think anyway. He fooled me. Anyway, we gets down on this job, and there's a brand spanking new D8 bulldozer there. So my grandfather said to me, "Go up and take Charlie." He said, "In town to come down and we'll start pulling these cables." Because by that time my father and Tommy and my grandfather had some old chavies working from with disc cutters cutting these cables out of these big ductings. So they had to cut the cables off in the ductings and we pulled them out. Anyway, this much with the dozer. He was up having his breakfast. So I went up and seen him. I said, "Charlie," I said, "can you come down and put..." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Tell your grandfather I'll be down in a minute. I'm just having my breakfast." Anyway, when I gets down there, I said to my grandfather, I said, "He's having his breakfast." I said, "He won't be here for a minute or two." "Oh, fucking bastard," he said. "I'll fucking do it myself." I said, "No, don't." He said, "Yeah." Anyway, I goes back up to see if I can get Charlie, because I know what my grandfather was, see. He started that dozer up himself, a brand new bastard, and put it in gear and took off and went right through a shed. Brand new machine. That when everybody run down to see what was happening, he was spinning on the concrete like that, because he was up against a fucking great wall. And the machine was up bouncing up and down like that. Anyway, he switched it off and scratched a bit of paint. There was murders up. So we pulled the cables and come back. Now, at that time, we used to take all our metals up to Turner's in Plymouth. And very often we'd meet Uncle Sam on the way down as we was on the way up. But we always used to go in on the Barbican for a fish breakfast. My grandfather used to do a lot of business there. He come from Plymouth. And you go in and there was hundreds of men in this big canteen. It might not be as big, but when you're a young boy, you think it's huge. But you stand in a queue, and they give you a hot plate, and you walk down now to where they served you, and they give you a big chunk of cod, a good old bit of cod, with a fucking great nub of butter, and some pepper. Bit further down, bread and butter. Bit further down, a mug of tea. But my grandfather then, when we was there sitting down, everybody knew him, see? And he would buy a fair bit of metal while we was there. What they dragged up with the nets and the fishing boys got. So once we went into Turner's, he would come back to the docks and pick it up. Anyway, when we got into Turner's now, you've got to imagine this. Turner's, George Turner, he had a railway carriage for office. Now you're talking about a man who was worth millions. And his mother used to count the money. And but what they didn't know when my grandfather went in, the 2 or 3 of them wishes there knew exactly what was on. Now you used to have to unload it. It was all in bags, don't forget. Big German man was the boss there, Carl. He was the foreman. He didn't gin what was going on. But two mushes there would take the metal in, put it on the scales, weigh it, and bring it back out around, not loads, but enough. Back out around, put it on the lorry, and weigh it again. That was my grandfather's favourite trick, but he had him squared up. But old George Turner was worth millions, and his mother, I don't know how much money she ever counted. And I'll tell you a story about that later on. But then Uncle Sam would come, he would be down there calling on his rounds, and he would pull in with his lorry. He had a Thames trailer as well, actually, then. And stay over the night. Have a bit of breakfast over to my grannies and granddads, wash and a shave, and be off on the next morning. So yeah, they was good times, but there was also times where there was animosity. And my mother could tell it, she ginned it. She always said it, no custy, no good. With my mother and my grandfather, there was rows, but it was mainly over me. Because if she said you weren't going anywhere, you weren't going, and that was the end of it. But I think he had a sneaking admiration for her. Because she would stand up and be counted, you know, she wouldn't take no shit. So we was moving on then, and the business went from strength to strength. So I think that's about it for this episode. That takes me up to when I was about 12-year-old, I'd say. So this is a Romany Rye saying over and out for now.